All right, how all you doing? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, you must be wondering why so red. Well, actually, we all know why so red. Well, Nvidia earnings yesterday, although Nvidia had a beat on the earnings and actually, somewhat would argue good results, but and good projections, arguably we would say, and that is part of the beauty of how technical analysis works. Those who watched my video about Nvidia yesterday were not caught by surprise by this whatsoever. In fact, it was pretty evident. We spoke about it and mentioned it yesterday. I mentioned the potential high levels which we are going to be testing. We never made it to the higher band of 2021.07. We stayed within that vicinity that I've mentioned. 203.88 basically tested, broke back down and retested, as you see, some of the levels that we already are aware of. Here it is. This is the highest point we got. That was the 203, borderline 203. That's 203.47. We didn't even make it to that 88 that we were saying will be. We're just kind of scratching right below that. As you can see, the support and resistance levels that I have shown in the video yesterday, of course, panned out to be absolutely accurate. We were basically descending along the support and resistance levels, testing them throughout the night. Then in the morning we opened up, and moving into the pre-session, we opened up a little bit of a gap. That gap obviously was closed, and then as we moved into the market open, we basically broke down completely, and the price action just rolled over as was expected, as I was saying yesterday. And mostly it's not just something that was visible on Nvidia individually. As I've mentioned, it was also visible when looking at the SPX, the overall indices. We were seeing that sort of heavy negative momentum that was waiting. In fact, it kind of overshot a certain I would say about 3 levels higher than expected. No, actually 4 levels higher than expected. Generated a little bit of a gap, and that gap, of course, needed to be closed. We knew that we're losing momentum, moving sideways, and we were seeing on the larger time frames sort of that preparation, that breakdown, that peak and preparation into and turning over and sort of giving way to that bearish momentum, which was the causality arguably to what we've had, or more so that is just the signal of the market that the market was prepping to drop. Pardon me. So the trick here is that most people are blind to this, and it's something I've been warning all along, that although you really need to learn how to read the momentum oscillators to understand how these tools indicate loss of momentum and directionality, because it's not all that simple, because you can't just look at the 4-hour and say, oh, it's bearish, or rather, oh, look, it was bullish, but it's bullish within context and within certain capabilities, if you will. It needs to be anchored to understand the structure within which we're moving, the cyclicality, and all together, then that momentum means something. Otherwise, it's basically meaningless. So now on the daily, of course, as you saw, we're bearish, and this is part of the context. And although bearish very strongly, still being mitigated by that on the 4 hours, we're bearish. Daily, we're still bullish. Bullish moving towards that 80 range. It does appear like, although we're somewhat parallel, that means both forces are moving roughly in tandem in that sort of same relative force to one another. And it still does not necessarily show strong signs of convergence, but it is probably what's going to happen sometime soon. By the way, stay with me till the end of the video and you will know all about the discount that is about to be over in 2 more days. As you can see, the bigger picture here, that is the part of the reason why you need to understand the cyclicality, because although again within the daily framework we are moving positively and we have all that bullish momentum, but where is it, Greg? So we're not seeing the 4-hour negative nor the daily positive, because they are basically almost as if arguably canceling each other out, or showing how on these smaller intervals we still are entangling, going back and forth, that regular ebb and flow. And that is why you need to be able to look at the bigger, broader picture to understand the cyclicality and to see, well, actually we're going down, and right now we're just wasting a little bit more time spending some of that leftover fumes, if you will, of that bullish momentum while transitioning into full-on bearish, which it appears to be. Looking at this, probably next week we're about to go full-on bearish because we're so close to that 20 range on the stochastic RSI, right below that line right here. Whenever we actually break below it, such as this, our bearish momentum experience a certain amplified behavior, if you will, to the dominance of the force that is being experienced. If is bearish, of course, bearish and bearish is very strong bearish. In other words, again, if this symbolizes the moving average of our accumulated bearish volume, right, negative volume, selling volume, more so now we're seeing we're oversold. Below that 20 is considered to be oversold, so we are excessively selling, so to speak. Again, the problem with that is that you need to understand that we can be excessively selling for a long time, which, as just as explained, the same way this is the bigger framework for the smaller time frame, the larger time frame is the bigger framework for that weekly. So if we're looking at our monthly, we've been overturning and sort of warning about this. This have been quite a process, and in fact, as you can see, we've been sort of over the obvious overturning process, although it's far larger and far more prolonged. In fact, arguably, those who understand the whole thing is the curvature, larger cycle, if you will. But at the end of the day, right now, we are experiencing that convergence of the forces, which we are slipping over to the back end. That back end, again, it is bearish, and that basically on that larger time frame, it symbolizes a larger cycle, which in our case, it's going to be a larger bearish cycle. The very same way it symbolized the bullish cycle, now it's going to be bearish. More so, all that bearish momentum, that same way, all the weekly occurrence of what is happening here will amplify and will subsequently print or show up, if you will, on the larger time frame, the monthly. That same way, the monthly, once becoming more bearish, it will become more obvious and will turn over our 3 months, our quarterly chart, which have been sort of getting prepared for that, overturning the cyclicality and becoming bearish for potentially a very prolonged period, simply because each and every cycle, on the larger the time frame, each and every cycle takes longer. That, if those who did not understand, that is literally the implication of the time frames and the cyclicalities that they observe. So in this instance, we are basically looking at a very prolonged bearish trend, and we're seeing all the signs that symbolize, all the signals, if you will, that symbolize how that process is slowly occurring, right? That, you know, the frog is being boiled and all these sort of analogies. Now, again, those who don't know, there is a Discord and a Patreon and a whole community where we talk about these things on a daily basis. And in fact, today I wasn't posting as much as I usually do. Usually I post a little bit more than today. Today I wasn't posting all that much, simply because we didn't have all that much going on. And in fact, I kind of prepared everyone yesterday in the video about NVIDIA. So there was not a lot of posting going on, and yet I was posting quite a bit. I was posting about today's price action and how basically we expect it to play out. I was highlighting to the members what to pay attention to, as I usually do, right? This is kind of one of the things we do in the community. Definitely do join us. Do not stay in limbo like these people for too long, because if you stay in limbo, you're basically eventually going to get kicked. If the bots recognize that you are staying without no member roles for a long time, it will simply kick you. When you will join as a Patreon, you will be able to see our daily conversations, posts, discussions, and whatnot. Of course, you'll be able to see my charts, my portfolio, although I didn't have a lot of many changes, and if I am going to have them, you know what I'm going to buy. I'm looking towards a stronger correction, so I'm probably going to buy this very same thing. Wink, wink. Again, not financial advice, you do you. Those who want to sign up, the way you sign up is you go to patreon.com, just exactly like it says right above me, patreon.com/Greg_Ori_H. That beautiful address. That is how you get to right here, and you have only one tier, so you don't have to break your head. Here it is, the $50 tier, which this tier right now, this tier, in 2 more days is going to become a $70 tier. So you definitely want to lock in right? You want to look and you want to subscribe right now, and sign up, get to the job, sign up. Why? Because in 2 more days it's going to be $70, and then you'll not be able to get that price ever again. Well, potentially maybe some holiday in like a gajillion years. You don't wait until then, right? So another way, of course, you can get even a further discount right there if you do change that little ticker to on and you pay annually. You, instead of paying $50, it will be $40 a month, and you'll save up $10 more every month. So that is quite a nice discount as well on top of things. So definitely join now, because in 2 more days, like I said, it's going to be over. That is all, boys and girls. If anyone thought there was something grandiose to sort of talk about today, unfortunately, that's all we have today. Nothing really crazy. The market been rather boring. I mean, something we really expected to behave, expected to play out exactly the way it did. So nothing really, exceptional to those who were in the know. We still are seeing how we're testing the very same levels at 6,900 right now. Of course, 6881, 6875, and 6861 levels we already were aware of. We saw them being retested today. But on the grand scheme of things, it looks like the market is preparing for another strong wave downwards, although right now we're kind of wishy-washy back and forth. But those are the smaller time frames as we're headed towards the end of the session. But don't be surprised if sooner or later all that wishy-washy behavior will cease and we will completely spill over to the back end, and we will see another impulse, strong impulse to the downside. It may potentially lead us back to that 6666 level, which we know to be a strong psychological level, and we saw it being retested many times before. As you can see right now on the screen, we have many levels below us to get retested. Right now we've just been moving in this band sideways. So you better be prepared. You better join the community ASAP. So this shit is not going to catch you by surprise. You definitely want to join the one-on-one academy. I now have 3 spots in my one-on-one academy where I meet up with you on the Discord that I just showed. And then I teach you one-on-one right here. We meet up on Discord in the one-on-one channel, and I show you how well, I don't know if you can see it right there. Here, there is a one-on-one channel, right, where I meet with my students and teach them one-on-one all the technical analysis techniques, tools, whys, and everything in between. We do it via sharing screen. You basically see my screen. I talk to you, answer your questions. It's not just a bunch of videos. When you do finish that, there's a whole library of content for graduates of the academy. As you can see, the graduates of the academy, and plenty more, by the way. And you can also read their testimonials if you join as a Patreon. You can go right here, one of the areas out of the academy that is open for anyone and everyone. You guys can see the testimonials of some of the academy students. Not everyone, some of them are shy. They don't exactly write their testimonials, but you definitely can join in, read those, and understand what is the worth of the academy. That's it, boys and girls. That's all I had for you today. There's not really a lot to say about the price action. As we said, it's kind of boring. It appears to be, lots of up, lots of down, but it all is within the framework of the sideways. And until we're going to get that stronger impulse downwards, it's kind of boring. And all we're seeing is that gradual falling off, that trend, slightly becoming and teetering even lower and lower and lower. And we can see how the market is pulling us basically lower and lower downwards. That's all. So not a lot to say today. I know, not tremendously exciting, but it's important to understand what is going on, why the market is behaving this way. A lot of people would think, the stocks themselves bring about these things, and there is some level of truth to this, but there's also a lot of truth to the cyclicalities and technical aspects of the market, which are repetitive, and if you don't know them, they will catch you by surprise. If you do know them, you'll be able to prepare ahead of time. That's it. See you on the next one, boys and girls. See you on the meeting. Also, I have an Academy meeting members today. Academy members meeting today. Jesus, what's going on? I can't speak my wordy words. And I'll be glad to see you. And by the way, shouts out to Kim, Chris, LY, and a few other new members to the community. Definitely don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to ring the bell for all the notifications. And please do like, because it is free. It absolutely costs you nothing. And it means the world to me. You'll have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.